Do you remember when Taylor Swift announced that she didn't own the rights to her own music anymore and had to record all the songs over again from scratch? Ever wonder why that happened? Well, it turns out it's the same reason Toys R Us suddenly shut down a couple years ago, and why your local hospital or nursing home recently got a lot worse. It's because they were all purchased by private equity firms, some of the shadiest, most exploitative companies in all of capitalism, and they are screwing over all of us. So private equity firms buy other companies, or sometimes singer-songwriter music catalogs, using a strategy called leveraged buyouts. Now, all a leveraged buyout means is that they borrowed the money to make the purchase. But here's the trick. Instead of taking out the loan themselves, the company they purchase is actually responsible for the loan. And as a result, that company has to cut costs quick to pay the loan back. That often means they have to lay off employees, cut services, or jack up their prices just to pay the loan back and make the private equity company the profit they expect. Now, this is just the beginning of how messed up private equity is. So if you want to learn more, I made a video with More Perfect Union, and you can check it out on their YouTube channel.
So at a certain point under capitalism, this is how everything works. And now we need to understand exactly why. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to production, we have more than enough. Not just more than enough for the United States, more than enough for everybody in the world. And for the most part, markets are saturated. Just take a look at Netflix right now. Netflix is struggling to expand their user base because basically everybody that would pay for Netflix already is. And so once these capitalist institutions get themselves established to the point where the market is saturated, the only possible option that they have is fee extraction and debt accumulation. Now, how does exactly this operate? You'll see this when retailers start their own credit cards. You'll see this when private equity firms come in with highly leveraged purchases of companies, where the easiest way to make money basically is to create some sort of pile of money somewhere or some pile of debt somewhere, and then use fees, fines, and a litany of other things, including interest and service fees, etc., in order to make sure that the people that are already paying for your goods and services are paying even more. It is basically a way to suck money out of retirement accounts, out of the working class who is just trying to go about their day-to-day life, and that is fundamentally how the United States economy has been operating for the past 20 years. It is the financialization of the economy, where everything that's produced is basically done. And all that is left to do is use financial schemes in order to squeeze even more money out of an already squeezed working class. That is why you'll see things like rent going up right now. Rent extraction is one of the fees that you pay monthly for existing. And so these companies know that charging poor people extra money just for being poor is the most profitable machine for them to have running. It is why private equity really is the peak of capitalism, which is what we are seeing right now. End stage capitalism that has nothing left more to produce and can only focus now on extracting as much wealth as possible from the working class. Some of the biggest offenders you'll see in this regard are things like payday lenders that put incredibly high interest rates on people who are just trying to get by week to week. You can also see it in the companies that manage legal settlements. Whenever there's a huge class action lawsuit, usually what ends up happening is some sort of legal firm jumps in that extracts fees continuously for long periods of time while managing all of the funds that were distributed that was supposed to go to the victims that were awarded compensation from the class action lawsuit, but ends up getting sucked into the fees for the company and all of the people that are managing that process. That's why it tends to be pretty bureaucratic and arcane in order to actually get your payout, and that's why whenever there is a class action lawsuit, the people that do get payouts very often get very little. Another perfect example is monthly service fees or overdraft fees that you'll see on bank accounts. And then of course you'll see hedge fund managers and financial advisors extracting tons and tons of fees from retirement accounts, which basically is them sucking money out of a giant pile of money. So when working class people pool money to put into a 401k through their company or something like that, there's grifters ready to jump on with managed investment portfolios that end up just bleeding money out of the retirement accounts of working class people. This is fundamentally how our economy operates, and really how capitalism has always operated. And this is the friendlier side of capitalism, to be very honest, because they're using bureaucratic rules that they know you're bound to break, or bureaucratic nonsense that is used to justify fees in order to extract the fees more kindly. What capitalism does overseas to countries that are not part of the imperial core, that being Western Europe, the United States, Canada, Australia, is a much more direct approach of extraction, where they quite literally enforce structural adjustment programs to put entire countries in debt, force them to churn out materials at incredibly low rates, and basically is just the pillaging of those countries. All in the process, of course, forcing those countries to gut things like public education, public health, etc., all to fund financial institutions in the United States of America and other parts of the Western world. And so that really is the gist of how capitalism works. The most efficient way to make a profit under capitalism isn't to innovate a brand new product, it's to innovate some new bureaucratic system to extract money from people, or to completely gut a company and bankrupt it so that a few people at the top can make a giant profit in the short term. Private equity is the pinnacle of late stage capitalism, where they're literally eating themselves from the inside, tearing apart companies and profitable enterprises for an even more extreme short-term gain.
This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to stay up to date with my content, you can follow me at Benjamin Carollo on Twitter. And for those of you that might be wondering or have noticed, my pronouns are in fact she, her.